In the 21st century, significant changes are occurring related to new scientific discoveries, information, globalization, the development of robotics and artificial intelligence. This century is called as a century of digital technologies and knowledge. The last session for the day aims at providing us with the current changes in didactics for the use of innovative teaching methods and study the understanding of changes by educators. May I now request Ms. Shawnee Nivedita, Head Department of Biotechnology, to introduce our speaker for the session.
Ms. Maria Camilo Castillo is a recent school-graduated teenager who wrote a book titled History of Genetics and DNA. She is now going to pursue her higher education in biological sciences, specializing in molecular biology and genetics. She was the third of her class and has always demonstrated excellence in leadership in everything she initiated. Ms. Castillo was also a qualifier for the Chemistry Olympiad at Department 11. She also received a grant to pursue her higher education in a workshop offered by the Embassy of USA and La Universidad del Valle. She is characterized by her resourcefulness, determination, and her brilliance. In her free time, she is an avid reader, an illustrator, and a passionate Gilmore Girls fan. I now invite Ms. Castillo to take over the session.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. As I have prepared a small presentation to share my project. So I really hope you like it. My project is called Science is Fun. And what is it about? It is a children's book that seeks to educate children aged 7 to 8 about DNA and genetics in a fun and easy way. Here we have some pages of my book. It is written and illustrated by me. Who is it designed for? This project is designed for all those children in the age of the eternal why. It is designed for those curious little ones who want to know more than their parents can explain to them. It is intended for those brilliant minds of tomorrow. What are we looking for? We're looking for mainly 4 things. Firstly, explain complex concepts in simple words. Secondly, encourage a love of science. Third, fun learning. And fourth, expanding mental horizons. I think these 4 things are very important when writing a book, especially in a topic like science, because children are very easy to think that science is very complicated and it's not fun, and it shouldn't be that way. Although science does have very complex concepts, I don't see why it should not be explained in easy words. Science should be fun, especially genetics. I find that most books on the market are either too complex for kids to understand, or they're not fun enough. What makes this book especially different? Many of the science books written for children are written by adults, and it is perhaps the reason why these are not successful. Who's better to explain issues to young people than young people themselves? This book is different because it speaks to you from a young language, and although it covers complex topics, it does it from a completely different perspective. I am 16, and I was a kid not that long ago. I like to think that I can explain to kids concepts maybe in a way that adults couldn't. I feel like sometimes adults forget what it was like to be a kid, and especially because time changes a lot, it is sometimes hard to relate to people who were born in different years. The book aims to captivate Alpha's generation attention. And I think it is important to acknowledge 5 things about them. This generation, the Alpha generation, is one with many challenges. Like, just look at what is happening right now. We're on a global pandemic. They had to learn throughout the screen, and like I just see my nephews, for example. They are little kids, and they had to learn to read and write throughout Zoom, and they had to adapt to the circumstances. And I feel that that's something that's very, very amazing, because kids are very, very tactile. They usually learn on a very interactive way, on a surrounding where they have teachers and a lot of stimuli. And the fact that they had to engage with a screen and learn throughout that way it's amazing. Secondly, I think they're more open-minded than previous generations. I think they're born right on a time where things are changing, where laws are being made, where paradigms are being broken. And I think that's something we should have in mind, that many paradigms that maybe we, even I have, they no longer will have. Third, I think they are the true digital natives. I know that adults like to think that it's my generation, the one that like we were born with cell phones in our hands and stuff. But I feel like that is not actually true. We were born when we didn't even have tactile mobile phones. We have to learn to use them, you know. Well, whereas I feel like young kids, they don't even know how to speak, and they already know how to open YouTube, you know, and see videos and stuff. And that is pretty amazing. Fourth, I think they have a challenge for attention, but I don't mean this in a bad kind of way. I feel like because they are the true digital natives, they encounter a challenge to focus on one single thing. But I feel like we should take that as a good thing rather than as a bad thing, because we should take this as an opportunity to engage with them, to find new ways in which we can capture their attention, because they're really picky. I find their attention to be extremely picky. If they are not interested in the 5 first seconds, they're gonna let you know. They're not gonna be paying attention, and I think that that's just makes adults and us have to elevate to their level. We have to elevate to their level of new understanding of things. And 5, I think they're smarter than we want to believe, I guess. Oftentimes people, like, for example, I have my nephews, but I don't live with any children. And sometimes we forget that children are not like, they're really smart. They can capture things very fastly and grasp concepts that we wouldn't imagine they can. Sometimes we underestimate them and think, oh, maybe he's a kid, so I should like explain things in an easier way. And sometimes we do so, but in a way that's too much, and we do not let them like go to the full capacity, because I feel like kids are very smart and we should let them be smart, if you know what I mean. What topics does my book cover? Unfortunately, my book is in Spanish right now, but I'm working on translating it to English. So, but basically my book covers topics such as the structure of DNA, important figures, and it basically simple down some of the complex concepts of the fundamental biological sciences. And here we have 3 pages that I think, well, they are my favorite. So the first one says, where can we find DNA? And it is our little character, DNA, who guides us through the entire story. And we have a drawing of a cell, and he's pointing out where his house is, where does he live. On the second one, we have Gregor Mendel, who's one of the founding fathers of genetics. And I explained a little bit about his past and how did he help in the field of genetics. And lastly, we have the structure of DNA. Here, our little friend is explaining to us why is it important to know the names of the different parts of him, because like he doesn't go around calling our heads globes and calling our eyes, I don't know, candy. So it is important that we know how to name the proper parts of him. What was my inspiration? I think that what inspired me to do this book was three main things. The first one, of course, my nieces were always asking me questions of why, and sometimes I don't know the answer. And it is fun to research a little bit and to know the answer, you know? Secondly, the brilliant minds of Guatemala that just need the right push in the right direction. I feel that sometimes, especially like people with low resources do not have the access to books that can explain things to them in a fun way. And to me, it's not about just giving the resources about how to learn, but making it entertaining. Because yeah, sure, I can donate my 12th grade books of science and biology to kids. And yeah, sure, they could understand something and they could learn, but it's not the same to give them like a full textbook of biology as an introduction to the theme than an illustrated book who that is trying to explain to them concepts in a fun way and in a way that they could feel, I don't know, feel engaged with the topic. I feel like sometimes it is just about feeling engaged at the first sight, I guess, like love at first sight, to then trigger them to investigate more. And third, my younger self, who always loved to read and learn new things. Growing up, I fortunately had a lot of books, and my mom used to read them to me, and I always was asking was asking questions about why, about this and that. And sometimes my mom, she didn't know how to explain things to me in a way that I would understand. So I think that this book is a nice tribute to those moments. Thank you so much for your attention. Now I will be happy to answer any question that you have.
Thank you, Camilla. You have been, after hearing to you, I feel that you are a motivator and inspiration for all of us. At such a young age, you could, you're thinking about what the other kids feel when you yourself are a kid. That's very inspiring and nice. And truly, that's a big takeaway from the workshop for all of us. I'm really impressed by your talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Minnie, can you ask them to post questions?
Yes, ma'am. I would request the participants to kindly post their questions in the chat box.
I think they're all really, zapped at the way Camilla has given her talk. It was really interesting and nice. It's your journey, actually. How you interacted with your niece and nephew, and then try to analyze what is the requirement of those students, and then you trying to build up a book giving an explanation related to that. It's truly good. Ideas come like that. That's very nice, Camilo. Thank you for taking your time off and coming here to deliver this lecture. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to talk about this.
Yeah. And then is your book available in English? You said
I think
English right now?
we will have my book available in English in a couple of weeks of the following weeks. We're also working on publishing it because, as you know, it's kind of complicated because of the rights
Yes.
and the different areas in which I need help from adults, right? Because I'm still underage. So yeah. No, but I will let you know when it is ready.
Definitely. We look forward for that. And not only this, many more books in future like this related to biology. and what is your interest?
Um, so actually, my father was talking with me and said that I should write more books about this, but not necessarily about biology. Well, yeah, about genetics, but of explaining other kinds of concepts. We were talking about having one discussing the atom, or maybe one discussing viruses because of everything that has been going on.
Okay. That's very nice, interesting. So we look forward more for such kind of books, and maybe it will be useful for the kids and also professors like us, where we try to understand the concept in a much easier manner. Thank you, Kamala.
Thank you.
Ms. Camilla, we have few questions. The first question is, what is your opinion about different education systems around the world? Any innovations or changes that you would like to suggest?
I think the education systems around the world, I wouldn't be able to discuss something that I do not know about. I know about the educational system in my country, and I feel like it should, of course, there's always new areas to get better, right? There should always be permanent changes. And but however, right now, for the current situation in my country, I don't know if it would be possible for us to make it more interactive because of the current health situation. However, I do feel like the curriculum should change. I was discussing this with my mother the other day. Um, there are many things in my country where it is by memory, right? I don't know how it works in other countries, but sometimes contents should are not, especially on primary levels, are not taught by reasoning, but rather that by memory. And I feel like that's something that we no longer need. I feel like rather than like knowing all the countries in the world by memory and just like knowing where they are, we should understand their context, and we should understand their culture, which is like on the for like geography class, for example. Yeah, we should not just know where India is, for example, or Guatemala. We should know what's India's reality, what's their food, what's their culture like. And because I feel like memory in the long term right now is not very helpful, because I can't, like, it's just for general knowledge and not to look like a fool, because I can pull right on my phone a map right now and see where your country is located, or for that fact, any country in the world. But yeah, I feel like memory things should not be longer memory, but rather reasoning. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you so much. There's another question. I think you have already described this in your talk, but who inspired you to write such an infotainment book?
Yeah, as I said, my thesis inspired me mainly to the core idea, I guess. When I first thought about the book, I thought about them, but right now it is more about the kids as a whole in Guatemala and their entire reality. Um, I don't think I mentioned this, but I am planning to make my book completely free of charge, because I want everyone to have access to it, and I want every like little kid in Guatemala to be able to read it, because maybe one day they will be interested in science and biological science, and maybe one day they would contribute to something great to Guatemala and to the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do the participants have any more questions? You all can please post in the chat box. Thank you so much, Ms. Castillo, for taking your time. Now I would welcome Dr. Shafali, faculty from the Department of Biotechnology, to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks To the last speaker of the day, Ms. Camelia Castillo, for accepting our request and delivering this interesting talk. I'm sure in view of the present scenario, your book, History of Genetics and DNA, holds a significance in explaining basics of biology to young enthusiastic kids of this generation. I extend my gratitude for the amount of effort you have posed for even thinking and formulating your idea into a reality. And as Shelja ma'am correctly said, you are truly a motivator and inspiration for all of us. Moving forward, I express my sincere gratitude to all other esteemed speakers for the day, Dr. Krishna Shankar Kusuma, Dr. C.E. Jayanti, Dr. Magdalena Valeska for sharing their knowledge and encouraging all our participants. I hold this opportunity to thank our principal, Dr. Sister Sandra Horta, for keeping us under her umbrella and providing us a platform to organize this 4 days International Faculty Development Program workshop. I want to extend my gratitude towards our Vice Principal, Dr. Sister Shirley, and Dean's Academics, Dr. Malika Shetty, for their immense support. I want to thank the convener, Dr. M. Shailaja Raj, HOD, Department of Microbiology, for planning and executing this webinar for the benefit of all our participants. I would like to thank the co-convener, Dr. S. Kanchana, HOD, Department of Biochemistry, and Ms. Shawnee Nivedita, HOD, Department of Biotechnology, for their valuable inputs. I would also like to appreciate the amount of efforts the organizing committee from the Department of Microbiology, Biochemistry, and Biotechnology has poured for conducting this 3-day session. I thank Ravi sir from American Corner and Mr. Ram from St. Francis College of Women for their technical support. I also want to thank all the participants from India and across the globe for attending today's sessions. I'm sure each one of us have learned something new and interesting from today's webinar. At last, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the moderators for today, Ms. Shawnee and Ms. Minnie, for conducting today's session so smoothly. As I conclude, I request all the participants to fill the feedback form by clicking on the link provided in the chat box. Thank you very much.